Hey everyone, and welcome to 121 in Flux. I am Peter, that is Connor. We talk about movies on this show, typically older movies. Well, this one's not that old. We, of course, are working our way through right now because Spider-Man Homecoming's coming up. We did the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man a couple of weeks ago, so this is going to be us doing Spider-Man 2, the middle chapter of the trilogy. We'll start. Nah, you know what? Just full spoilers. I don't. I don't think
Yeah, yeah.
there's
I
much
was going to
point.
say we didn't do spoilers on the last one.
Yeah, I don't think there's much point. So we'll just go full spoilers on the movie. And so we're doing the Raimi trilogy. We're saving Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 for when the next... Because there's going to be a Homecoming sequel in a couple of years. We'll do those then. We'll have to do them all in one go. So, no. So I'll make sure there's a link to the first Spider-Man review somewhere in the corner about now. But basically, we talked about it. We had some nice things to say. We had a lot of criticism, some stuff that hadn't aged that well. And we're going to go into Spider-Man 2, which of course is generally regarded as a really great superhero movie. People often talk about it as being their favourite of the trilogy, and we'll see if it's held up. Obviously, we mentioned last time we hadn't watched any of these movies in nearly a decade, or perhaps close to a decade, and so obviously this one's arguably, well, depends. Yeah, no, I probably watched them all about the same time last time I watched them
Yeah,
all,
the last
so
time I watched them was all in the run up to the third one,
yeah,
and then
so
I haven't watched them since.
a while ago then.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So yeah, fresh thoughts here.
so Spider-Man 2, Doc Ock and stuff.
Doc Ock and stuff. Is that how you're selling the whole movie?
Doc Ock and Mary Jane running in slow motion with a Dutch angle in a wedding dress.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. I think we're done here.
I don't want to start negative, even though I'm going to be really negative about that stupid slow mo wedding dress run when we get to it. But I don't want to start negative. I like a lot about this movie. Now, obviously, a lot of the criticisms I had about the first one carry over, namely Tobey Maguire and Kirsten
Yeah,
Dunst and
yeah.
James Franco. All three of them, I think, are miscast. They're not necessarily all bad actors, although Tobey Maguire is.
Yeah, the case could be argued for him at least.
Yeah, he his mopey face, and then some of the faces he pulls at times, and
It's the constipation face that cracks
yeah,
me up.
and then obviously one of the complaints I have about the first one, which again carries over here, is that there's like almost no banter from Spider-Man as he's doing his thing. There's no wisecracks almost. The closest it comes is when Doc Ock it's during the bank sequence. Doc Ock grabs him and says, "You're getting on my nerves," and he says, "Oh, I've got a knack for that," and that is the only one like in the
Yeah.
entire movie. It's really quite telling, and it's like, oh man, this is missing.
And that's the thing as well, because it's not like it's a movie devoid of humor. It just
Oh no,
doesn't
yeah.
come from him.
No, yeah, there's a lot of humour. Sam Raimi has a fun of humour. Look at the Bruce Campbell cameo where he's the usher at the
Yeah.
theatre, and he's like, "Oh, now watch your shoe, watch your tie. Can I help you, sir?" I mean, he's gold. He steals the movie. He's in like one scene, and he practically steals the
No,
movie.
he does. I'm not disputing that. He's
It's
great.
great. Much like the first one, the actor playing the villain's really good. You have Alfred Molina who's playing Doc Ock.
Yeah.
He's quite good. Villain's better than the first film because he's not as ridiculously cheesy and he doesn't look like shit. Cats, stop it.
Yeah, I mean that's the first thing. I think the design it works because it's kind of simple.
It also works well in like the action sequences. Like they use it quite well. Like him using the extra arms to do things like balance himself and catch himself and see other people coming at him. Like
Even just the way he walks up walls with it. It's just it does something more inventive with it than
it's
the,
cool.
the
Yeah.
stupid hoverboard.
Yeah. It has there's much more inventive things going on with it.
Yeah.
He's also, I think, slightly more interesting. They don't rush his origin in like the first 10 minutes. It takes a bit more time. Um,
Yeah, and the evil snap is a bit different.
it is a little bit different, yeah. Although I do have some criticisms that we'll get to as we're going through the
Yeah.
plot. And the other big thing that I think works really well in this movie is the action scenes are much better than the first
Oh,
one.
yeah, definitely.
The fight that leads to the train sequence, and then the train sequence itself is great. Some of the other bits are good too, but that's the one that stands out really, really well.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, just before we go too much further, I watched 2.1. I think you didn't. So just in case I reference a scene and you're like, "What?"
Yeah,
That's because it's in 2.1, but I have no idea what's new for this. I have not got a clue.
I had the option of watching 2.1. I just decided not to. I thought, no, I'll watch the original theatrical version that I've never.
See,
I don't think I've ever even seen 2.1. I have no idea.
I didn't think to communicate with you as to which version we were going to do. I just stuck one in.
So no, action's very good. Also, the overall kind of idea of him giving up and then realizing why he's actually a hero. It's kind of a standard old superhero story. It's very Superman 2, in fact. I actually think it's quite funny that Superman 2 has a very similar kind of he's giving it up kind of idea in the middle of the movie, and then realizes no, he can't be. He needs to be there for people, and he becomes the hero again. But it works really well, and I like most of it. And that's
there's I think there's maybe one particular moment that I really didn't like in that section.
Well, let's go through it then. Let's talk about the various things in it. I think Harry's kind of a problem for me right from the start of the movie when we meet him, and he comes, Peter comes home and it's like, surprise, happy birthday, and this is all his friends in the world. It's quite sad. Obviously the first part of the movie is just sort of showing you. I would almost argue that it beats over your head too much just how down in his luck Peter is with everything. His rent's not in time, he's getting fired, he's not showing up for class on time. Like, everything in his life is just a complete miserable mess. Except for the fact that he's Spider-Man, obviously.
Well, yeah, and that's also the reason.
Yeah. Oh, of course, yeah. Because obviously the Professor, what's his face? The guy who becomes a lizard. I can't remember his name. Connors. There you go. Kurt Connors. Like, he's like, oh, you're brilliant, but you're lazy, kind of thing. Like, well, he's not lazy. He's busy.
Yeah, it's the same way whenever he goes to work and he's late, he says, there was a distraction or whatever it was.
Yeah. So yeah, you have the fun pizza scene, which kind of like brings us back into the world and shows us where he's at. There are some points though I like about showing like how down and out he is. One thing I really like, and this is a very Sam Raimi thing, is when he's walking. It's later on. He has the action sequence after. He's supposed to go to the play to see MJ's play. He doesn't get there because there's a crime that happens, and at least to the usher scene because he's late. But when he's like walking home, dragging his motorbike back home, he passes like a wall of posters for the play, so it's just Mary Jane's face like 1,000 times behind him as he's walking down the street, just reminding him of how shitty he feels. Like, I like that touch. That's a really simple little thing that I like a lot.
No, that was nice.
But yeah, so yeah, we're in this place where Harry's kind of just sleazy and evil, but still being friends. But every time it's like,
but clearly not friends enough to let them still live together.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's letting them be in a rundown apartment.
I don't get that. Like, so you presumably kicked him out, or he chose to leave? I'm not entirely sure. It's very unclear as to what actually happened. But
I imagine he chose. Well, actually no, because think about it. He's living in his dad's place now, so he moved back to his house, and then it just kind of left the apartment in limbo.
I suppose.
So it's less that he kicked him out, and she's like, "Well, I don't need this apartment anymore, Peter. Sorry, I'm going home."
Yeah, but a proper friend would be like, "Hey, come crash here. There's enough rooms."
Hey, maybe he offered. I don't know. It doesn't happen on camera.
But his attitude would suggest he didn't.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's almost comical how repeatedly he brings up, "Yeah, you take pictures of Spider-Man. How is the bug?" And then then the party goes on normal, and then 2 seconds later, "Yeah, but you keep protecting Spider-Man." It's like, God damn it, Harry, stop being so one note.
I know. I mean, even his butler's like, "Dude, you're obsessed."
Exactly.
Like the butler's like, your dad was only obsessed about his work, right? Not about all this other shit.
Yeah. I'm comparing you to your homicidal father, and I'm saying that you're coming out looking worse here. Take a hint.
Yeah, exactly. It's not great, is it?
Well, to be fair, maybe the butler didn't know about the goblin, because remember, no one found out because...
No, that's true, but even so, it's still not great, is it? Going, hey, you're pretty obsessed here.
So Peter's introduced to Doc Ock, to Octavius before he becomes Doc Ock, and I thought this one did a much. I actually almost want to complain that it's almost too similar to the first movie, but better in the sense that it's a scientist who's a nice person but is corrupted, and you know what? One thing I'm really going to criticize: we end up with a third act where Mary Jane is yet again kidnapped by the villain and is in peril.
And yet again, I want to give the problem with Mary Jane in general that I did in the first one. I don't understand what the deal is. She doesn't do Like there's nothing about her for us to see why Peter likes her so much.
Yeah, I think it works a little bit better than this one because it feels like it's already established. Now I know that our argument
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that in the first movie it wasn't
No,
really
no, I know what you mean
established.
because this is the bit they're
Yeah,
kind of a bit estranged, so it shouldn't be seeing as much of it. I
yeah,
get that, but it's still, but because they haven't established it, it just sticks out more.
yeah. But taking on its own, this is just where they are. Like I just kind of accept it and you go with it.
Yeah,
Because I don't like. I do think like Mary Jane is kind of bad in these movies. Like she is not particularly likable. Um, she I don't know. Like
she's pretty much the damsel in distress in all of them.
she is. She's a damsel in distress, but before she's the damsel in distress, she's really weird with Peter. Like she's trying to like goad him into, because she kind of likes him now, and she's trying to like get him to say something, and she's kind of almost mean about it in some places. Like after the party, like they have that very sort of the scene that's meant to echo back to the first movie when they talk in the backyards over the
Yeah,
fence. And she tries to bring stuff up, and he's like, "Oh, I'll come to the play," and like he's trying to be nice, uh, and it just feels like she throws like, "Oh, I'm seeing someone now." It feels like she only brings that up to goad him, rather than because she's actually wanting to give him the information that she's in a relationship.
yeah, pretty much.
And it makes her boyfriend, the astronaut, which by the way, I love that J. Jonah Jameson says, "My son, the astronaut."
Yeah,
It's like a hilarious line. Also, one of my favorite lines. I think I mentioned this in the last review that I loved when he says, like his wife, "Oh, your wife phoned. She lost her checkbook. Thanks for the good news." And he just keeps going. Like I love that line.
J.J. Emerson is undoubtedly the best part
Oh,
of
yeah,
this
he's
movie.
fantastic. Every line that comes out of his mouth is gold. It's
It is
fantastic.
that he doesn't have a bad moment.
In fact, the famous gift that everyone uses to laugh at people when they say
Yeah, yeah,
something ridiculous is in this one when he asks for an advance on his pay.
yeah. It's glorious, isn't it?
He's fantastic. He's great. J.K. Simmons is a treasure who should be
He is.
cherished.
Yeah,
But yeah, so everything about that, and obviously he doesn't show up, and you see she's upset that he's not in the seat, and that's fine. Um, and then we have that scene because I actually really like the scene when he calls her, right, and she doesn't answer, but he's on the answering machine, so he's talking anyway. But he runs out of money. He's on a payphone, right, and he realizes he can't answer, and she's pissed at him on the other end, and we see her reacting, and she seems like she's overreacting a bit, but whatever. But I do like the whole idea that once he knows she can't hear him, he keeps talking anyway and tells her that he's Spider-Man. I really like that concept. Now, admittedly, it being Tobey Maguire and her being Kirsten Dunst, it doesn't have the same weight that it should. But I actually really like the scene for what it is as
no,
an
I agree.
idea.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I like that a lot.
yeah. It's the confession when you're safe, but
Yeah.
you just want to say it, and it is a good idea. It just he doesn't sell it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing as well is the trope of, oh, I can't tell the ones I love that I'm Spider-Man because that'll put them in danger, and it's something that it's gradually bugged me more and more as years have went on, because more and more movies and TV shows have used it, and more it's like, no, it's kind of bullshit. If they knew you're Spider-Man, they know there's danger and they can maybe take some precautions. Keeping them in the dark just makes it feel more dangerous to me. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I see your problem.
So it was at one point when he's whinging about it. I think to who's he saying it to? Maybe he's just saying it to himself. I can't remember. I think he's just narrating actually.
Probably.
I'm getting it confused with the scene because it's obviously when he's deciding not to be Spider-Man anymore. He has that scene where he talks to Uncle Ben in his head. Has that sort of moment where he basically says he's giving it up, and I like the whole no more thing. I like that he does give it up. That he sees that, you know what, maybe I could make class on time. I could have time for everything if I wasn't Spider-Man. And you have that really, honestly, kind of powerful scene where he sees the guy being mugged and he walks away. He just decides not to do something.
See, that was the moment that really kind of bothered me,
Oh,
because it was like, did you learn nothing in the last movie? This was literally your entire problem, was you did nothing and it caused all your shit. And it's like you didn't take anything away from that.
Well, I took that as I think he did take something away with that though, because that kind of spurs him on to confess to Aunt May, not about being Spider-Man, just about like.
Well, yeah. I just feel like, I mean, what if that had happened again? Like, not the same, but what if these muggers that he didn't stop went on and did whatever?
Well, I don't get what your point is really though, because that's kind of the point of the scene is that if he's not going to be Spider-Man, he has to let it all go. He can't intervene ever.
Yeah,
Like-
it just it bothers me that even if he doesn't do something Spider-Man-y, he doesn't do anything.
Like what?
Phone the police. Go, hey, dude's being mugged.
Oh,
Send an ambulance.
Sure. I mean, but that's what makes it so hard for him in the scene, though, is that he knows what this means because he did go through this, and that's why it spurs the confession to Aunt May. Like it means something, and he has to. Like if he's not going to be Spider-Man, he can't do this. And then he eventually does go into the burning building, even though like he hasn't. He's his powers are malfunctioning, and it's all in his head. He goes to the doctor and all the rest.
I do
of
have
it.
a little problem with that powers malfunctioning stuff.
Go on.
So the first time we see it, when he's swinging or whatever, and then he starts falling.
Yeah.
I think he falls onto the roof that time, and then it isn't mentioned. Like he does nothing about it. He just carries on.
We get our funny scene of him going down the elevator.
Sure, but then the next time we see Spider-Man is when I think it's Doc Ock's origin.
Yeah,
and he intervenes, and powers are completely fine, no problem. But it really bothers me that there wasn't a scene in between of any sort of consideration as to what had happened. Like it was just, it happened and that was it.
No, I get you. I mean, I'm cool with the overall progression of it because it is kind of like they're fluctuating in and out. Like, because obviously later on it starts happening again. It starts becoming more severe to the point where it's just not happening at all.
I just feel like if it happened once when you were literally, you were flying through midair, you fell, you would think about this.
You would have some thoughts about it. You would consider it, but the overall progression of it doesn't bother me. But I do agree. There probably should be a scene after that first time where he's like, okay, maybe something's wrong. Maybe I should do something and try and protect.
Yeah, and then maybe he goes, oh, it's all fine now, whatever.
Admittedly, though, even if he's still doubtful about his powers, I still get why he still intervenes, because he sees something's going wrong and he jumps to action. Yeah. And to be fair, he never actually uses much of his webbing or anything. It's mostly...
No, but to be fair, when the powers go, even the grip goes, right?
Oh, later on, but so far, nothing of the other stuff's went. That's later.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, it's builds.
Yeah.
I actually really like that shot. Seeing he's pulling out the power cables. The big chunk of power, and it's like
nice.
the bird's eye shot of him like pulling them out. Really nice.
I will say my only other problem with the whole powers being gone thing that really bothers me is so he does the hand to release the web, and nothing happens, but it still makes the noise.
It does, yes.
Why?
To make it sound like he's empty. From a filmmaking point of view, that was the choice. It sounds like there's nothing in there. He's trying, the mechanism's trying to do it, but there's nothing there because I guess the reason is he's not producing the the webbing because he's not. Basically, the whole thing's about being impotent. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, I feel like it was a weird choice to have the sound because the sound is identical still.
Yeah, that's sure.
So it just bothers me a little bit.
I guess I take that as the thing still opening up, but it's just not coming out. He can't climax, if you will, if we're comparing it to that. And because I actually, again, a lot of the stuff with this works really well for me. I really like the scene where he finally ultimately makes the decision because he goes and sees Aunt May again. Like she reacts kind of harshly when he first tells her, but when he comes back, she's like, "Oh no, it's just like you were brave to tell me. I'm proud of you for doing it, and like you can never have known, blah blah blah." But the kid across the street's helping her move because she's moving to a smaller place that she can afford, and she gives the classic sort of, well, I mean, people need Spider-Man for inspiration. It's not just about everyone you save; it's about the belief that they can also be something, and so on and so forth. Because the kid wants to be Spider-Man when he grows up. It's classic superhero stuff, but it's done really well. It works. Yeah. It's tried and true. And he even has like the very similar thing from the first movie where he tries to run and jump over the buildings from roof to roof, and he thinks he can do it and then he can't. And again, the comedy of the movie is he lands in a car, and as he's walking away through the cars holding his, because he says, "I'm back, baby," as he's like flying in the air.
Yeah,
and then
he's
he falls.
like, I'm back.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, my back," after he lands. And then just as he's walking, he leans in a car and the alarm goes off, and it's just that extra bit of comedy. It's like, yeah, everything's going wrong. It's not just the one thing. That can
the
go
alarm
wrong.
didn't go off on the one that he landed on, but this one that you just touch.
Maybe it doesn't have an alarm. Not every car's got an alarm.
I don't. It just it's just more amusing to me.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I feel quite bad for whoever owns that car though. A big dent in the roof now just because he landed on it.
I wonder if insurance covers falling Spider-Man.
Well, he wouldn't even know what it was though. He'd just come out and there'd be a dent in his roof.
It's true. Insurance should cover that.
Yeah, it's like,
You'd think.
what caused it? I don't know. I came out and there was a dent in the roof. Fix it.
I think it's more notable that nothing's there now either to have caused the dent.
I guess you would assume it was vandalism, like,
You'd have to,
someone
yeah.
jumped on top of it or something. I don't know.
But yeah,
And I think vandalism would be covered by insurance. Seems like something you'd have covered in there.
one would assume so.
Because it's not probably like a subdivision of theft. Like it's not quite thieving, but it's like
Yeah, and I assume if you're in a violent area, like where your insurance premiums would be higher to cover that.
probably I would imagine.
I bet they cover smashed in windows. So why not a dented in roof?
It does. I don't know why we're talking about this so much, but here we are. So no, the no more powers thing works, and he makes the choice to be Spider-Man again. And that's when he goes and MJ like calls him, and obviously we've learned at this point she's getting married, and she's marrying the astronaut, and he does go to her plate while he's not got powers, and he's like, oh, let's go and get some food, and she's like, I'm getting married, Peter. Just because you showed up to my play once doesn't mean I'm just going to turn around. And obviously he's making a try of it because he thinks he's got time now to do these things.
Yeah.
And she calls him to talk to him, and this is she wants the heart to heart. It's like, do you love me? And he says no because he wants to be Spider-Man again, and he's like being all the hero choice. And I like that his powers kick back in when MJ's in trouble. It's kind of a nice little touch.
Yeah, it is nice.
And again, if we're comparing it to the whole impotent problem, the idea that MJ is the thing that gets him back on track's kind of a,
It's amusing, isn't it?
yeah, it's just this. If we're going with that metaphor, it kind of works in with it. The idea that he needs his inspiration, he needs his muse to perform, as it were. And that leads, of course, to him. Probably the funniest moment in the movie, actually, because obviously he's had a No More thing, and they've done the famous front cover comic, Spider-Man No More, with the suit and the trash can, and J. Jonah Jameson is like, this is when MJ's been kidnapped, and he's like, oh, my son's fiance's been kidnapped. Maybe I've done the wrong thing. Maybe I should have treated Spider-Man better. Maybe he was a hero after all. And then the Web comes in, steals the suit back, and he just turns around in the same scene and goes, I knew it. He was a menace all along. I love that scene so much.
I do as well. I have one really major editing problem that follows this.
Go on.
Because this is the bit where Ock's gone, hey, meet me at this place at 3. And then he's gone to get the suit, right?
Yeah.
And we cut from that into a news headline. Like a newspaper comes up, like Spider-Man's back. And he swings in through the headline. And I thought that was really strange because whenever you show a newspaper headline like that, it's always to show a day's past. It's like, this is a new day, new headline.
Yeah, clearly that's not the case here.
It's not, but it was really strange to me because it took me a moment to remember that, hang on, this is the same day.
Yeah, I never even thought about it, but it's just their way of celebrating that he's back, and this.
It is. It's just it just one of those. It's almost like a rule where these headlines they always represent days passing. Whenever you see a montage of headlines come up, it's like, okay, look, this is a month that's gone by.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the closest it could be would be the evening edition that day. It's the evening edition of
right, which is still too late because he has to be there by 3. It's like it really bothered me because it was just an editing choice that just seems strange.
I'm going to be honest here. This feels nitpicky to me.
Oh no, I'm not going to lie, it is nitpicky.
This is nitpicky.
But when it took me out at the moment, and I was like, wait, what? Because I had to think about what they'd done because of this rule.
Okay.
It just strange.
So we have the second big fight with obviously the first one was at the bank when Spider-Man comes in and helps Aunt May. This is where Aunt May sort of flips her opinion on Spider-Man, and she gets to have a little action moment. She hits him in the head, kind of thing. And that scene's quite fun. It's them going up and down the side of a building. Really fun and inventive. I really especially like the whole kind of T-Rex style of like hearing them come, like the workers inside the building.
The thuds.
The thuds, yeah. And like, what the hell is that? And then he's like, coming up, and the idea that his claws are actually getting into the building as he's going up.
Yeah, it's nice.
But yeah, no, this action sequence here that takes place here, and then they eventually fall into the train, and they're on top of the train, they're going up the side of the train, and then eventually the he messes with the train. He puts it up at full speed, breaks all the consoles so that no one can do anything to it, and Spider-Man has to save the train that's heading towards a dead end. It's a really weird dead end. I'm not sure why there's a dead end in there, but
I get it. The reason is that the station that they went past was supposed to be the final stop. The extra track was just the bits where the trains can turn around.
Oh, sure.
That was just the end. That was literally just the end of the line. It's where it was meant to be.
I guess I just typically think of you'd always build a train in a loop.
They never do. Very rarely, because trains don't. Because it has to be quite a big loop for a train to go round.
Oh, but I'm thinking of this like a subway kind of thing, and subways are typically in loops because it's a monorail and it's in the city. I'm thinking of it as being.
Okay, I get you. I always think of lines. So.
Oh yeah, obviously lines that are going across the country. Yeah, that's not in a loop.
Yeah.
Obviously, but
I think that's just what this one was. It was just just a line.
That's fair. I don't know. I assumed it'd been a loop, but I'm not the one who designed the city, so
Clearly.
But no, it's a really exciting sequence. A couple of his facial expressions when he's
the constipation face.
But the actual saving, and then the idea of like the train driver like giving him right, because he tries to stop up with his feet at first, and he's like, "Any more bright ideas?" And he's like, "Yeah, I've got a few."
I'm just gonna pull down this building.
Yeah. But no, the whole sequence is very exciting. It's really well shot. You never get a feeling like you can't follow what's going on, despite the fact that you've got these two characters who can do extra agility things.
You're swinging, you're sideways at points.
Yeah,
you're upside down at times. It's always like you know exactly what's going on.
You know exactly what's going on. It is a really good, well-filmed action sequence where you understand the geography of everything at all times, which is really impressive. It's something that a lot of modern superhero movies are forgetting to do.
I think that's it, though. It's because it's centered around an object you can recognize. It's a train. You can just see it. There's an object to work around, whereas a lot of modern ones just typically, I feel, do, here's some dust.
It's the cloud of CG, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really hard to get geography, because even if the actual choreography of whatever they're doing is great, there's no context to put it against, whereas here, you've got a train, and obviously it helps that they use the train that actually interacts with it.
It's why scenes like this one, the ending of Avengers, that final whole thing in New York, these play really well because you understand where you are the whole time. Batman v Superman end fight scene is atrocious because it just feels like a video game cutscene because they're just standing in front of a cloud.
Yeah, exactly. Time. It's even when you've only got floor, it doesn't work because you've got nothing. You haven't even got depth really.
No,
you can't judge anything. Here you can see the space.
Yeah, and they're literally standing against CG. And well, there might be moments in this where it's all CG, and maybe moments where the backgrounds are real, but the characters are in the train CG kind of thing. Like, it's mixing techniques. It makes it feel like you're really kind of there, even if it's not always photo real. You still feel like you understand the entire surroundings at all times.
That said, CG is pretty good for the most part here.
For the most part, it was the odd time where some of like Doc Ock's arms were occasionally a little bit.
Yeah, the odd bit, and the helicopters at the very end.
Yeah, they looked a bit weird.
They did.
Odd. Definitely, it feels like a step up from the previous movie. It's only been 2 years in real time, so it shows you we're right at that cusp of things getting really impressive. But so that's good. But the end of the train scene is really good because his mask is off because it got burned, and he took it off, and all these people that carry him inside. There's that great shot of he's about to fall forward after he saved the train, and the hands come through and like hold him up.
Yeah.
And the people of New York help him. It's this idea that the people of New York owe a debt to Spider-Man, and they have this relationship with him. And I really like this idea that, like, a group of like 20, 30, strangers in public basically all say, "We never saw anything. Put the mask back on."
Yeah. To be fair, he takes his mask off in public a lot in this film.
He does. But I'm not going to let that tarnish this good scene.
No, I agree. It's a nice scene. It was just something I was noticing a lot. Like, the one that really stood out to me was on the way to MJ's play, where he takes them out, he gets in the car and pulls the mask off and carries on driving the car. It's like, yeah, but there's plenty of traffic cameras around here. I'm sure.
That's fair. He's a little bit willy-nilly with it.
Honestly, I do really like this train sequence and everything in it. After that, the movie kind of loses me. I get a bit bored.
I don't like. There's parts I like about obviously, we have the Mary Jane's in trouble. She's been kidnapped by the villain. I do like that the villain has this kind of like he has a moment of kind of realization, and he ends up doing the right thing. He like sort of sacrifices himself to save everyone. I like that. It makes you feel a little bit different from Goblin, and although I did, to go back to his origin, we never really spoke about his origin. It does kind of bother me that it's like, okay, the arms have an AI that might overtake him. Okay, so I've got this chip that stops that from happening. Why is it
Chip breaks.
Why is it exposed in the back of his neck? Like,
Yeah, it's a bit...
anyone can hit that and it'd be done. I don't
Yeah.
know. It just
No, I know what you mean. It's just strange, isn't it?
that feels a bit. I mean, they make us care a little bit because his wife dies, and we get. I mean, there's only one scene with them where you see how much they love each other, but it works. It's enough.
It's a pretty good sequence where the wife dies. Actually, you know, the
glass.
You see the glass coming towards her.
Feels very Raimi. It's just a touch cheesy, but effective cheese. In fact, speaking of vintage Raimi, the scene where Doc Ock's in the hospital and he wakes up and the arms like kill everyone.
Yeah.
All the doctors. That is like super Sam Raimi. That is like him doing like an Evil Dead sequence with all the arms coming after everyone. Even the guy picks up a chainsaw. It's like, here, this guy did Evil Dead. Gonna enjoy this.
Yeah. No, you're right.
So that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
But yeah, so yeah, no, the final of the movie, I like some of it. I think honestly, it works. Like nothing about it is blatantly
No,
bad.
that's the thing. It's fine. It just feels very much like after we had this really inventive, impressive train sequence and all that stuff, this just feels like we're just going to do the standard stuff to end it off now.
It's really honestly, I can't blame this one too much because I feel like people often talk about Spider-Man 2 being kind of the birth of the modern superhero movie. And I do think, because we talked about how the first one felt a lot more dated, I don't think this one does as much. I feel like this one is a lot of the elements that we felt were dated in the first one, I feel like have advanced in this one, and it does feel like the start of the modern superhero movie in a lot of ways. And unfortunately, one of those things that it started, and it's not quite a beam of light going up to the sky, but it's very similar. It's the ball of light that's going to erupt and suck everything in.
Yeah. I mean, at least to its credit, this ball of light was previously established in the film.
Oh, it was. No, absolutely. It was established.
Whereas most of them, it's just, oh, here's a beam of light now. And, you know, it just comes out of nowhere. Whereas this was actually established as,
no, that's fair.
This is something.
That's fair, but I do have to begrudge it because I feel like so many, not even just superhero movies, just so many big budget blockbusters now have had this at the end, and it's so overused now.
No, you're right. It's awful.
Bugs the shit out of me, but it works well enough here because it does give Doc Ock this like redemptive kind of moment where he realizes himself for a minute, and I like that thing when he calls back that brilliant but lazy line because he sort of sees that Peter Spider-Man is like, oh, brilliant but lazy, aye. like he realizes no, he's not lazy, he's just busy.
Yeah. Too preoccupied.
Yeah, he's got his work cut out for him. And MJ sees he's Spider-Man, and I do actually like him catching the whole wall. It was an impressive feat of strength, like kind of holding that up.
Yeah, definitely.
That's all fine and well. It's after this where it kind of stumbles. It's I'll call it the
multiple endings.
The epilogue scenes. I feel like it stumbles a bit. First, we have him and MJ on the web, and they have the kind of heart-to-heart where he's like, oh, this is why I could never be with you, because, I'm always going to have enemies, I'm always going to be Spider-Man. And I do like that he's declaring that he's made the choice, like, I'm Spider-Man. I'm always going to be. I can't let things happen and not be. In fact, we never mentioned in the burning building scene that it saved the kid, and it was really hard to do it, but then he finds out afterwards that another person died in their enemy.
Yeah, and it was, if he was Spider-Man, he could have just swung in through the windows and
got them out quickly. Yeah,
wouldn't have been a problem.
So there's consequences to that choice, so I like that he's made that choice. But again, this is where my rage at but like you're in too much danger, bollocks. Like, because I like that at the very least she brings this up when she sees him again later. But I'm like, it's her choice if she wants to be in that danger. It's not yours to make. You're babying her here. Basically, was my thinking. But that plays out. She lets him down, and she goes and hugs Astronaut Man. Because like I know his name, I don't know. The astronaut.
No idea.
Something Jameson.
Do you know what the worst part is?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even recall it being Jameson.
It must have been.
No, but that's what I'm thinking. I feel like it must have been. But when he was introduced, to the crowd at the party, I don't remember hearing that.
Yeah, the crowd. Yeah, the party scene where Harry's getting drunk and he's like, "I want to kill Spider-Man. You're no friend of mine." That's it.
Oh, I hate Harry.
Yeah, his sort of dark side turn. It felt really thin in the first one. It still feels really thin in this. So you have that epilogue. Then you have the Harry epilogue, which is the he starts to hear the voice of his father, and he's like, "Avenge me, son!" And we get to see Willem Dafoe, which is nice enough. And he finds the secret hideaway that's got the goblin suit and all the gear and the glider.
Yeah.
And it's very, come back for the third movie, because that's what it's going to be about.
Yeah.
Partially.
Yeah. I did think also, in terms of mentioning dodgy effects, where he throws the knife and it goes through the glass and comes past the camera. I thought that looked really weird.
Yeah, I looked a bit off. That's fair. So we have that epilogue scene, and then we have it's the wedding day. Wedding bells are ringing, and MJ's
Yeah. There's only one way this can possibly go, isn't there?
Yeah, and I have no problem with her leaving the guy at the altar. I probably wouldn't have put them in this position. I would have probably had her end the marriage with Astronaut Man, like after the sort of the finale scene rather than at the wedding.
Yeah, but it's worth it to get Jameson's responses.
Oh yeah, call the caterer, tell him not to open the caviar.
I love how he just doesn't give a damn.
No, he just cares about the price. He's like, no. Because earlier on in the movie, he's trying to get talking about plastic flowers. He's like, no, these flowers are too expensive.
Yeah.
Let's get plastic. But she makes the choice. She sends him a note, and he just looks pissed. And I'm like, why do I care that he's pissed? He's much like her. He's just a plot device. He's just there to be the other guy.
But even less so. We've seen him about twice.
The only notable scene we've seen with them is when she makes him do the upside down kiss, because clearly she's got a thing for Spider-Man. And that's the whole thing. But we have the cheesy running, and I remember thinking this was bad at the time. I liked the movie a lot when it came out, and I still like it quite a bit. But this running through the street in the wedding dress, and it's the wedding music, the walk down the aisle music. It's the over the top orange glow they've given it. They've given it the extra glow. The Dutch angle. She's smiling as she's running and lifting up her thing. All of it feels so super cheesy. And I was like, oh my god, you're dragging me out of this movie, kicking and screaming at this point.
Yeah, you just go and just end. Just go credits.
And she goes and sees him, and I will admit she basically says, right, okay, look, it's my choice, and I don't care. We're going to be a thing. Deal with it, Parker. I do think her use of Tiger in this movie is much more effective than the first one.
I would agree with that.
Because they hear the sirens, it's like she knows he's Spider-Man. She's like, yeah, go get him, Tiger. And it's this, nice call to the comics fans and whatever. And he smiles because, hey, I've got it all. I'm Spider-Man, and the girl knows about it, and it's nice. And he, we get the happy shots of him swinging through the city with the fake looking helicopters, and this is a fine ending. The idea that he gets her at the end and he swings off into battle, knowing that, okay, not everything's fine, but at least one thing's been sorted out. I've still got money problems. I thought it was kind of weird how we never had another scene with the landlord's daughter, because we have that whole thing where she gives him the milk and the cake, and she's got a crush on him, and we just never see her or the landlord again after that. So he's in the first half to show how shit his life is right now, but there's never any kind of resolution to any of it, which is weird. Unless there was something in 2.1 that I didn't see.
No, that was it. I mean, there is something in... I'm fairly certain, seeing as you haven't mentioned it, is in 2.1, but we'll get to that in a minute. But it's nothing to do with this.
Okay.
But no, that's it. She's just gone after the cake and was like, man, was the cake that bad? Did she actually just try and poison him or something? Is that what he's thinking? He's like, I'm staying away from that crazy bitch. She's trying to kill me.
But I want to criticise the ending, because I do think the final shot is a bit of a downer. I feel like the whole movie, his life's been so shit, but he gets this one big victory where, Mary Jane and him are finally together. She knows he's Spider-Man. We've have this happy ending, whereas no matter what else might be going on, at least this core thing that makes him happy is being achieved. And it cuts back to her looking out, and she has a sort of look in her face like, did I just make a mistake? Fade to black, credits roll, and I'm like, what is that ending?
Yeah, it's strange.
What was the choice? I get that you're maybe setting up a thread for the third movie, but you've already done that with Harry. We've got a dark thing in there. I don't understand why after two movies of... I mean, they assume we want them to get together. I mean, given it's those two, and I think they're miscast, not so much, but... it just feels so weird to me that we end in this shot. And I don't want to be too negative, because I actually do like the movie a lot. I think it's better than the first one. I think the action's very good. I think the overall plot of him, Spider-Man no more, deciding that he has to be Spider-Man, I think all that works.
It's more interesting, ultimately, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a more interesting superhero plot. And as much as some things do feel like they're kind of better versions of the first movie, they're better, so it's hard to kind of complain.
Yeah, just makes the first one seem worse almost.
Yeah. Outside of Mary Jane being captured again for the third act, I just felt like, oh, damsel in distress again.
Yeah, it just felt lazy, didn't it?
Yeah, I felt
It
like
feels like they really don't know what to do with her as a character. So it's like, just have her be captured. It'll be fine.
yeah, it's basically her purpose. She's there to be the love that he can't have, and then be the damsel.
That's it. Be captured and date someone else.
Because
That's
spoilers,
both movies.
Spoilers. End of the third movie. She's in the third act as a damsel in distress again.
You know what? I don't even remember the end of the third movie, but I just assumed that she was at this point.
She is. She is. Oh god. But no, there's a lot of things that really work about Spider-Man 2, and you can kind of see that it became, or it started the trend of what a lot of other superhero movies were going to be.
Yeah,
sort of throughout. Some for the better, some for the worse. But you can definitely see a lot of influence that it had in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Going forward, especially the Marvel movies, I think, more than anything.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, especially the tone, like just the overall, like it's kind of fun. There's a lot of humor. It's not overly serious or dark, even though it has drama.
But that's it. I do think it has a bit better drama and probably a better villain than a lot of them. I mean, I like the MCU more in a lot of cases than I do this movie. But I do think Doc Ock's a better villain than almost all the MCU villains.
Yeah, definitely more than most. Yeah.
Yeah, there's one or two that aren't, but I feel like, I mean, compare to Ronan or compare him to Malekith or...
I can barely remember some of the others' names.
Ironmonger from the first Iron Man.
He wasn't as much... Ironmonger was less of a problem because he was the first one.
Yeah, you get you do kind of get away with it in your origin, which is why you typically, or at least I feel like you don't want to waste one of your better villains in the first movie. That's why I love that they don't get Joker till Dark Knight. Like it's not in Batman Begins.
I agree. Yeah. It's like the first one you get away with not having it as developed a villain because it's about your hero. The second one, there's no excuse.
Yeah, there's almost some superhero movies where I kind of wish they didn't even have like a big name villain in the first one. Like with Batman, especially, you could just have it be the crime. Like
fight the mob.
The mob bosses are the bad guys in the first one. You don't have to have the and
yeah.
They didn't quite do that in Batman Begins. It kind of started that way to an extent, but even that had to buckle into we need the big bad who comes at the end. But
but for a lot of it, it was kind of crime. Like you say.
And I kind of wish some had the balls, at least in an origin. And admittedly, I don't want to see that many more origin movies now. I feel like we're past it. It's fine.
Yeah.
But no. So here's something that I didn't remember being a thing, and maybe because when I last saw Spider-Man 2, I had never heard of the character, but there was a Doctor Strange reference in this movie.
There was, yeah. I think it was in the same sort of scene. My favorite other one was the thwip sound. Yeah, where he mentions he I think it's him that mentions he goes, I use that as a title. He goes, thwip.
Oh right, okay. Yeah.
And obviously that's the sound effect. It's like it's one of the few sound effects in comics that really sticks out as that Spider-Man. It's like with Wolverine, you got snicked.
Snicked, yeah. I recognise snicked a lot more than I do that.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I feel like I don't even know what you meant there until I had to think about it.
It really stood out to me, that one.
Yeah. Yeah, now Snick's the only one that, like, if you say it, a sound effect in a comic that you associate with a character, Snicked is the only one that really springs to my mind.
Snicked. Bamf is obviously, if you're teleporting. Nightcrawler.
Yeah, for Nightcrawler. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And I always think thrip to do with Spider-Man's webs.
Sure.
So, seeing as when we were talking about Jameson and all of his antics that you didn't mention, I'm assuming it didn't make the cut. Especially because I don't recall ever seeing it before. It's when he has the suit, the Spider-Man. Obviously, they've put him in the suit.
I've seen this on YouTube. But it's not in the. Yeah, he puts on the suit. He puts on
and he's dancing around, pretending to be Spider-Man. He's got everything on but the mask. I totally get why this was cut, because I was like, what the hell is going on?
It's too goofy.
It is.
It's too goofy.
I don't know if it's actually J.K. Simmons in the suit, because his head looks way too big for that. Like, when you're watching it, his head looks way too big. And he's just jumping around the tables being Spider-Man. You got all the other three people from the office just staring through the windows. It's like, what is going on here?
Yeah, I'm okay with that not making the cut.
Yeah, I kind of wish that but I get why it didn't, because it really drove me. Like, as amusing as it is just to watch, it was like, what? This makes no sense.
I think that's fair. I think
Yeah,
that's fair.
yeah. So, because obviously we spoke a lot about it in the last movie, the music.
Mm-hmm.
How did you find it in this one?
But the same.
I'm gonna go out and say it was better. I think there was a bit more restraint. It wasn't as overblown.
Okay.
Also, there was more times where it was just silence. Like there was actual times where it was just allowed to breathe. Like even that whole opening of Ock's origin, that whole segment is all without music.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Oh, I'll tell you what I like. I like the opening titles in this one because they do a really fun thing where they use like comic art to recap the first movie.
Yeah,
As
yeah,
the titles
that's
are playing.
nice.
And I think Alex Ross did that.
Yeah, I can see it now that you said it.
Yeah, I think Alex Ross did those. At least he did some of them. I don't know if he did the whole thing off the top of my
Yeah,
head, but I thought that was really fun. It almost makes me fondly remember the first one better than I actually do. Because I'm like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah. You'd rather experience it through that than watch it, wouldn't you?
yeah. But no, I think Spider-Man 2, it still has a couple of dated elements. I think honestly though, it's a much better movie than the first one. That's hurt from the same decisions that were the biggest problems in the first one, where it's the cast. It's just the main characters. It's Spider-Man not having the humor, but the actual story as a movie is pretty good.
Yeah, and obviously the action is actually fantastic.
The action is fantastic. I think so, there's maybe a little bit too much of the MJ stuff that doesn't play very well, and Harry's kind of quest for
I mean,
evil.
honestly, I just wish Harry wasn't in the movie. Just
Yeah.
he adds nothing to this movie at any point other than letting Peter go once Ock brings him to him.
He's
That's the only time he's relevant.
yeah, he gives Ock the thing he needs for his
Sure,
device.
but that could have been anyone.
Yeah. He also he feels like a completely different character in this one because he walks in and he's like Nobel Prize and he's like, no, I'm going to be famous, I'm going to be rich, and he just it's
Yeah,
like,
and he never seemed to have these aspirations before.
I barely recognize him, and that was kind of the thing in the first one. He immediately remember that scene in the first one we complained a lot where he snapped at MJ because she was, oh, thanks for defending me, Harry, and she's like, oh, I'll be lucky if I'm half the man he is. And we spoke
Yeah.
about how that was really out of nowhere. Like, I didn't really feel like he wanted to be anything like his father up until that point in the movie, and then all of a sudden we had that line. It feels like they've went with that, and he has always wanted to be like his father, but
Yeah,
sure.
but I just don't buy it.
I don't buy it either. I don't think James Franco's a bad actor per se. I just don't think.
No, I've seen him be good in lots of
Yeah.
things.
I don't think he is. I don't think he's well written. I think it's just the character's not that well written, really. Ultimately,
Yeah, I think that goes for most of them, though. Frankly,
and I think it's a case of miscast with the two leads.
Yeah.
Well, again, I don't think Kirsten Dunst is a bad actress, but I think she's wrong for the role of MJ. She doesn't have that fiery kind of intrigue that MJ should have.
no, MJ is kind of. I mean, in the same way that this obviously plays with a lot of the ideas of Spider-Man's kind of like Superman. She is basically Lois Lane. In attitude.
Sure, she's not a journalist. She's
No, but in
Yeah.
attitude, she's got that, go out there and get it. She doesn't, she's not, moping around doing all this
Yeah.
stuff. And this isn't that character for most of this movie.
No, it's not. She is kind of. She's moping because Peter seems to not care when he's really just too busy being Spider-Man, and then he's moping that he's upset her, and he's moping about not having money. There's a lot of moping.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Obviously, Peter his life's always kind of shit, but he doesn't just mope around. That's kind of the point. Like, so much shit happens to him,
Yeah.
but he stays upbeat. So, God,
So
we're
the
gonna
writing's
tear the next one apart, aren't we?
The writing of Peter is definitely part of the problem, but I think Maguire makes it worse because he has that mopey face that
Absolutely.
he just has like throughout
Yeah.
the whole thing, and then the constipated face. But of course, all the positives said, we do really mean. Like, the action is very good. The overall plot, the main Spider-Man plot is really good, and the villain's good, and obviously that train sequence is up there. It's up there with one of the best kind of superhero scenes.
that holds up as even by today's standards. There's only a handful that probably really beat it outright.
Yeah. Anything else we have not talked about? You want to mention any scenes that we've glossed over?
No, I think we covered it all.
Characters that we didn't really mention. I don't think we did missed any really, in the grand scheme of things. No, it's better than Spider-Man 1. It holds up better. I still have problems with the cast mainly and the way some of the characters are written. But as a movie on its own, if you take away the fact that it's supposed to feel like Spider-Man as the comic book character, it rather holds up as a movie.
It does. And obviously one of my biggest complaints before was I was struggling to enjoy it because of the music, and that wasn't a problem. I didn't necessarily love the music, but it wasn't annoying me. It wasn't making me go, I'm not enjoying watching this because of it.
I still think it's not suited. Like, I still think there's a much better score you could have had for this, but...
Yeah, but there are times where I think it's quite suited. Mostly the Ox stuff, actually.
Yeah, the Ox theme is not bad. It does okay with the villain.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
But Spider-Man's theme, like, I just don't feel like suits Spider-Man, which is
I agree with
that. Is it better or worse than that electric guitar thing from Wonder Woman? I don't know.
It's better. This doesn't suit Spider-Man, but it doesn't fill me with rage.
Fair enough. Which is good, because it plays a lot more than that theme played in Wonder Woman.
That is true.
And for the record, we liked the rest of the score in Wonder Woman quite a bit. It was just that one main electric theme. Just in case you've not seen our Wonder Woman review, which we praised. We praised Wonder Woman a lot. We liked Wonder Woman quite a bit. So you can check out that review. I'm sure I'll have a link for that in the corner because it's a recent comic book movie. But no, that's Spider-Man 2. I'm surprised. We went a lot shorter on this than we did the first one, which is weird. But
I think it's because a lot of the problems that we have are it's the same problems before, so you might as well just go watch that one rather than us repeat them again.
And plus, in the ones they fixed, we've kind of covered that. It was kind of plot things.
Yeah.
Also, there was a lot less backlot shooting in this. There was one or two moments that I felt, this is a backlot, but most of it I didn't. There was less of that.
No, you're right. Again, this is the sense where this one feels much more like a modern movie, whereas the one before feels from an era before.
I'm curious. I'm going to have to check actually later if this had like a much bigger budget than the first one. Like, did it go from being like a $90, $100 million movie to 150, and that's why it feels just a bit more modern?
It could be. Yeah,
it could be. Well, before we go, let's rate the movie out of 10, as we typically do. What did we give the first one? I gave it a 7. You gave it like a 5.5.
I give it a 5.
You gave it a straight 5. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very curious then what your rating's going to be for this one.
Yeah. Well, it's higher. That's obvious. I think I said at the time that last one probably would have been a 6 if not for the score annoying me. So we can start there. The score didn't annoy me on this one, so we can start straight away. That's a 6.
Right, but presumably it's also higher.
But then
in other
obviously
respects.
it's better. So I think I'll go with a 7.
You go with a 7 on this, all right?
Yeah, I was debating the 7.5, but I'm not quite sure. That too much Harry bollocks.
Too much hairy bollocks. I'm gonna go with an 8. I find it. I'm pretty sure that I've given this higher. Like way back when I first saw it, I think I gave it a higher score, but I'm going with an 8. And I think I've clearly showed that it's a very good movie, but there are some key things that I still don't like about it. But what is good is worth the 8, I think, to me.
That's fair.
Obviously, not in the next influx we have up, but we will be getting to Spider-Man 3 soon. I think next week is the plan.
Yes.
We get 2 episodes this week, this is the first of 2, and then next week I think we'll get 2 again, and Spider-Man 3 will be one of next week's 2 episodes. Oh boy, I've not seen... Obviously I've seen that one less than the first 2.
I've seen it once.
I think I've seen it twice, but they were both back then.
Yeah, I know. I saw it once in the cinema and never again. So this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think it will be a very interesting conversation about Spider-Man 3. So there we go. That is Spider-Man 2. Let us know what you think of the movie in the comments below, of course. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. It helps us out. You can also help us out, of course, by going over to patreon.com/MailedFuzzTV. See some of the bonuses. One of which, of course, for $1 a month, you get these episodes a week early. So if you're watching this on the YouTubes, the next one's already up on Patreon. In fact, if we're doing 2 a week, then the next...
It's possible Spider-Man 3 might already be up.
It is possible, yeah, if we do that within the week.
Just having to think of what we had scheduled. It might be there.
Yeah, that is very true. I'm not sure. It may be the later slot next week, actually, though.
That is the later slot. I'm just checking, checking our schedule.
Yeah, just off the top of my head. Our mysterious schedule, which you're not going to know about.
Yeah.
Top secret. But no, so check all that stuff out. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz and stuff like that. And that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Hopefully Homecoming's good, because I've got a funny feeling we're not going to like Spider-Man 3 that much again. So thanks for watching, guys. We will see you next time.